The planet Orion 7 was not meant for human life. At least, that was what the official report said. The winds alone could peel the skin from an unprotected body. The sky glowed a strange shade of violet during the day, and at night 3 pale moons hung like silent watchers above endless silver deserts. Most of the ground was covered with strange crystal formations that hummed faintly when the wind passed through them. Yet humans had come anyway, because where there was danger, there was opportunity. My name is Daniel Mercer, a freelance salvage pilot. My job was simple: travel to abandoned worlds, collect valuable technology left behind by extinct or vanished alien civilizations, and sell it to the highest bidder. Orion 7 was rumored to contain the ruins of an ancient alien outpost. But when I landed there, I quickly realized something was wrong. The place wasn't abandoned. It was dying. The Discovery, my small cargo ship, the Wayfarer, sat half-buried in pale dust as I stepped outside in my exploration suit. The wind howled across the empty plains. My scanner flickered with weak energy readings. Strange, I muttered. If this place had once been inhabited, there should have been more signals, more structures, more signs of life. Instead, there were only broken towers in the distance, half-collapsed domes, and silence. I began walking toward the ruins. The air carried a faint metallic scent, and the ground cracked under my boots. Strange alien plants, thin, black vines with glowing tips, twisted through the debris. After about 20 minutes of walking, my scanner suddenly beeped. A life signal. Weak. Very weak. My heart started beating faster. No way. According to official records, no intelligent species currently lived on Orion 7. But my scanner didn't lie. Something alive was nearby. I followed the signal through a collapsed structure that looked like it had once been some kind of shelter. The roof had partially fallen in, and pieces of alien metal lay scattered across the floor. Then I saw her. At first, I thought she was dead. She was lying against the wall, motionless. Her body was thin, far too thin. Her skin had a faint silver-blue color, almost like moonlight. Long dark hair spilled across the dusty ground, tangled and dull. She looked fragile, but also strangely beautiful. Her eyes were closed, and her breathing was so faint that I almost couldn't hear it. An alien, a living one, and she was starving. A choice. For a moment, I just stood there. Every rule of survival screamed at me to leave. Unknown alien species, unknown diseases, unknown dangers. Helping her could be a terrible mistake. But then her eyes opened. They were bright, glowing faintly like liquid sapphire. And they were filled with fear. She tried to move away from me, but her body was too weak. Her arms trembled as she struggled to push herself up. I slowly raised my hands. "Hey, easy," I said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." Of course, she probably didn't understand a single word I was saying. Her gaze locked onto me, filled with confusion and suspicion. Then her eyes shifted toward the bag hanging from my belt. My food pack. Her expression changed. Not to anger. Not to fear. Hunger. Pure, desperate hunger. It was the kind of look that only someone who hadn't eaten for a very long time could have. I sighed. Well, I guess that answers that. Slowly, I removed a ration pack from my bag. Her eyes widened slightly. I carefully placed the food on the ground between us and stepped back. "Go ahead," I said quietly. For a moment, she didn't move. Then her body crawled forward slowly, like someone who barely had the strength left to stand. She picked up the ration pack with shaking hands. She stared at it. Then she looked back at me. Confusion again. Maybe she thought it was a trap. So I opened another pack and took a bite myself. Her eyes followed the motion. Understanding flickered in her expression. Finally, she opened the pack
and started eating.
The hunger. I had never seen anyone eat like that before. She devoured the food as if it might disappear at any moment. Her hands trembled as she ate, and tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. Not loud crying, just silent tears. The kind that came from relief, from survival. I handed her another pack, and another, and another. She ate slowly after the first few, her body adjusting. After a while, she leaned back against the wall, breathing heavily. Her eyes closed for a moment. Then she looked at me again. This time, the fear was gone. Instead, there was something else. Gratitude. She slowly touched her chest. "A lira," she said weakly. I pointed to myself. "Daniel." She repeated it softly. Dan-il. The way she said it sounded strange but oddly warm. For the first time since arriving on Orion 7, I smiled. The truth about Orion 7. Over the next few hours, I stayed with Alira. She was too weak to move far, so I helped her sit comfortably while she regained her strength. Communication wasn't easy at first, but slowly, we began to understand each other through gestures, expressions, and simple words. What she told me was heartbreaking. Her people once lived across Orion 7. They were peaceful explorers who had settled the planet centuries ago. But something terrible had happened. A war. Not among themselves. With another alien species. Invaders. Powerful. Ruthless. They came suddenly and destroyed everything. Cities burned. Ships were destroyed. Entire populations vanished. Alira and a small group of survivors had hidden in underground shelters. But supplies ran out. One by one, the others died. Starvation.
Disease. Despair.
Until finally, she was the last one left. The last living member of her entire species on this planet. Alone. Waiting to die. Until a strange human pilot walked into the ruins and offered her food. The bond. Over the next few days, Alira slowly regained her strength. I brought her back to my ship, where the medical scanner confirmed what I already suspected. Severe malnutrition. Extreme exhaustion. But she would recover. She spent a lot of time staring at the stars through the ship's observation window. Sometimes she looked sad. Sometimes thoughtful. One evening, she spoke quietly. "My people gone." I nodded slowly. "I'm sorry." She looked at me. "You help why?"
It was a simple question.
Why had I helped her? I thought for a moment. Then I shrugged. Because leaving you there to die would have made me a terrible person. She studied my face carefully. Then something unexpected happened. She smiled. The threat returns. 3 days later, everything changed. I was running a routine scanner sweep when alarms suddenly blared across the cockpit. Unknown ships entering orbit. Not human. Not friendly. Alira rushed into the cockpit. The moment she saw the scanner display, her face turned pale. "Them," she whispered. The invaders had returned. Maybe they had detected my ship. Maybe they were simply finishing what they started. But one thing was certain. If they found Alira, she would not survive. I looked at the scanner. 5 ships. Heavily armed. My small salvage vessel had no chance in a direct fight. But running was still an option. I turned to Alira. "Hold on." She looked confused. "What you do?" I grinned. "Something stupid. The escape." The Wayfarer roared to life as I pushed the engines beyond safe limits. Enemy ships descended through the atmosphere like predators. Laser fire streaked across the sky. One blast struck the ground behind us, sending dust and debris flying. "Hold tight," I shouted. Alira gripped the seat beside me. Her eyes were wide, but there was no panic. She trusted me. That trust gave me strength. The ship shot upward through the violet clouds. Enemy fighters followed close behind. Missile lock warning.
Great.
I pulled the ship into a violent spiral, dodging the first missile by barely a few meters. Another missile fired. I slammed the thrusters. The missile exploded behind us. The shockwave rattled the entire ship. Almost there, I muttered. Stars stretched into streaks as the ship prepared for warp jump. But enemy ships were closing in. One more hit, and we were done. The warp drive charged slowly.
Too slowly.
Come on, come on. Another blast struck our shields. The console sparked. Then finally, warp ready. I slammed the activation switch. The stars vanished. And Orion, 7 disappeared behind us forever. A new beginning. Hours later, the ship drifted quietly through deep space. The danger was gone. Elira sat beside the window again, staring at the stars. But this time, her expression was different. Not sadness. Hope. She looked at me. You saved me. I smiled slightly. Well, someone had to. She tilted her head. Where we go now? I thought about that. She had lost her world, her people, everything. But she wasn't alone anymore. I looked out at the endless stars. Anywhere you want. For the first time since I met her, Elira laughed softly. And in that moment, I realized something important. Sometimes the universe brings strangers together for a reason. A starving alien woman had met a human who refused to let her die. And now, the future belonged to both of us. Together,